basically. But I hope you guys found this, helpful. Let me know if you spot you enjoyed, and let me know if you prefer this style of video for landing locations, or in the past where I would just kind of show it on the map and then have general gameplay on, which is just like I said, a more entertaining viewing experience. So the first location we're going to talk about is going to be this house near Snooty Steps. This has about 18 chest spawns, and if you do land in this tower here, you can get a lot of slurp barrels and basically get full HP very shortly after touching the ground. And not only do you get HP very fast, but you don't have to worry about using any of the shield items that you find. So it's going to be if you land in the tower over here, and then just kind of break your way down. I think Cypher PK has shown this spot, so a lot of you probably are aware of this one. But I do like this spot because the medallions are very important this season, and not only the medallions, but getting the mythic POI, that way you can customize your weapons at the workbench. It's super important this season. So you can loot this relatively quick, and then kind of go about your day in third-party Snooty Steps. And with how the bosses are this season, and how many guards there are, it takes a while to eliminate them. So you're not at that much of a downside looting all this and then third-partying Snooty Steps. It's probably going to make your life much easier. People can't just rush the boss down as fast as they could in previous seasons. So you could loot all this, or you and your squad could loot all this, or at least loot to the point where you're happy. If you do have to fight off spawn, there's also a slurp truck here that you can kind of get on your way out. A cooler here. Coolers are very good this season because there's only floppers and shieldfish as far as what can currently come out of them. So your odds of getting shieldfish is really high, and it's one of the better healing items in the game. And you can kind of launch pad over here, or you can just walk here if you don't want to go down to that spot. It really just depends on kind of where you are when you finish looting the building, So you can launch pad or walk to here, you get a zip line, which brings you to Snooty Steps, and then from here, you can check and see, what's going on. One of the nice things about the bosses this season is if you're trying to third party these locations, you can see whether the boss is still alive or not because the medallion is there. If you see the medallion go down, then you know that somebody has eliminated the boss and taken it. So even while you're looting here, you can have a pretty decent idea of what you're getting yourself into. When somebody does eliminate the boss, you won't see the medallion anymore once they pick it up, and you'll just see the gold circle around where they're close to. But yeah, I think this spot is really good. Not only is it solid amount of loot off spawn and shield off spawn, but it has a nice route to get into the action and get you to the workbench. Because even if you are late enough to get here that someone's already eliminated the boss and left, you can still probably make use of their workbench if they open the vault, and that's nice to do even if you don't want to be concerned about getting the mythics or the medallion. I think you still probably want to be worried about customizing your weapon. So this is the first spot. I think it's really good. The next spot we're going to talk about is going to be these houses on the bottom right of the map. These are a little more secluded and don't have the best route to a mythic POI or anything, but this one has 24 chest spawns. This one has 16 chest spawns. Both of them have a decent amount of barrels, and you can loot these spots relatively quickly, especially if you're playing team game modes and you know that you're not contested here. You could probably split 2 and 2, and then loot this stuff really, really fast. And there's even zip lines to let you travel between the two, and launch pads on this mountain, and this mountain, and that mountain. So there's a lot of natural launch pads in the area. So while this place does kind of play out, it could play out really slow with it being on the edge of the map. I know a lot of people have had a hard time dealing with Storm this season. It shouldn't be as bad as you think it would be, because there is launch pads in the area that kind of allow you that quick, easy access or easy exit out of the area. So personally, I think if I was looting this, I would want to land at this spot. I feel like there's more loot density here and more slurp barrels here, which is really nice. You can just break that in one and get all those barrels, and then probably you would want to break the floor to break this stuff as fast as possible and get the slurp barrels. Take these berries. Okay, this is a very open building. It's very easy to loot this quickly. It's like a barracks area. And then when you're done looting this, you could take the dirt bike up to the launch pad, or there's a zip line here, a path of zip lines that will allow you to travel to the other spot that we were talking about, the other set of buildings. I just wanted to show you guys where the launch pad was. There also is a decent amount of loot on this launch pad, so if you are getting contested here, landing on this part might be a decent play, because then you could grab this loot, maybe look for a kill out of the sky, or just, pad away. So here's the pad, and that's kind of why I was saying there's like a 2-2 split wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, because there is launch pads to easily relocate. Split, landing here, in squad, and then you see another landing there. You could just kind of land on the top part here. Again, there's lots of barrels, and then just pad over towards here, and there's another pad right here, and this is on the other side of this mountain is where the other buildings are that had 16 potential chest spawns. I'll show you guys those real quick. The chest spawn rate isn't the greatest this season, so you know, while it is 24 and 16 chest spawns respectively for these two spots, it's not going to always be there, unfortunately. That is one of the downsides of Fortnite OG. This NPC that's here doesn't really sell anything noteworthy. Big pots are nice, but I'm not too concerned about having the shield or that snowman. I'm going to quickly get in here, and this spot has even more loot. There's stuff that can spawn in these bathrooms, I think, as well. This side doesn't have as much barrels as the other one, though, unfortunately. So that is this spot. You could take the zipline over there, and then there's another launch pad on that tower or that mountain, or you could just take the one from this mountain. And I believe if you use one of these berries and then go into the launch pad, you go super high, and that would be pretty helpful if you did want to get somewhere else, because the biggest downside with this spot, not only is it edge, but also it takes like a decent amount of time to loot, and you have a hard time getting to a mythic POI. You're probably not going to be able to get the medallion, but like I talked about before, you kind of want to go there anyways to be able to customize your weapon. So Gland Glacier or the railways is probably going to be your best bet to get to a medallion POI, or you could just like pad to this, and hopefully the radio tower is actually here. This is a radio tower spawn. A lot of times the players from Glacier and Railway will end up coming to this tower after they get it. So if you are able to loot in time and contest this tower, you might get the medallions, and then also be able to customize your weapons at the workbench there, or the workbench at Glacier, whichever one you really feel like going to. The next location is going to be the loot cave on this right side of the map. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this location. It's kind of drawn a lot of attention. It is an interesting spot, but I really don't think it's that great of a drop spot, which is why I wanted to talk about it in this video, because I know making a video on underrated drop spots, a lot of people are going to mention the loot cave, and it is, you know, one of the spots in the world, but I think it just takes too long to be looted, and there are launch pads to get out of here, but it's just kind of a struggle. If porta potties worked properly and you could just porta potty out, I think that would be great. I'm not sure why the porta potties haven't been working this season. It kind of seems like that's the way it's supposed to work, because once we get down there, there is one down there, but you can break those barrels for full shield right away. You see there's a porta potty here, and then you just kind of slide down and you go into this cave. And this is, like I said before, this is an interesting location. I feel like that's just what causes so many people to talk about it, but I do think it is kind of overhyped, which is the takeaway I kind of want you to have from this spot. Is just that it is overhyped. So there's chests here. Get through. You gotta break the chest to get through this part, and then there's another spot where you have to break a rock. And again, this spot is cool, but in practicality, you guys know how bad the storm is this season. The struggle is real. So I personally don't see myself ever landing here. But you break that rock, and then you come to here. And this is where I was saying it would be nice if the porta potties worked, because if you could go through here and then pop out on the top side where that other porta potty was, which I assume is how they're supposed to work. That's typically how spots like this work with the double porta potty. One goes, it's usually only one way. Like you can only use this one to get out. You couldn't. But if they do just kind of do all this, porta potty, get back up top, and then take one of the launch pads from the mountain top there. But without that, it's kind of a struggle to get out of here. Or not to get out of here, but to do this and then also, you know, go about your day. Because you see, not only did it take a while to get through, it takes a little while to get out since you have to backtrack through everything. Crouch walking, and you guys know how slow crouching is this season. But now I have to go all the way back up this mountain, or all the way around. And that is just a struggle. So if they do patch those porta potties and make it work properly, I think that'd be a decent spot. I still think it would be like somewhat overrated. This is not a location where I would want to fight people at all. Like just would be very awkward, I think. So that's one thing. But I just feel like there's other places with more loot that can be looted faster, and then you can get into the action a bit faster. If you are able to loot this like somewhat effectively quick for whatever reason, you could probably go towards like Gland Glacier. There's an NPC here. I would almost rather just land right here. I would almost rather just get those barrels, come right here, and then try to take the pad to Grand Glacier. I obviously wouldn't be wasting my shockwaves in an actual match, but I'm just trying to do this a little bit faster. Assume there's a launch pad up here. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I didn't even check, but I just assumed there would be because the mountains in this season have a lot of them. But yeah, so like you could pad to here after getting that, and then get your workbench there, or maybe eliminate the boss, get the medallion if somehow no one has done it, or maybe even railway to get that workbench. With a lot of these spots, I feel like you're giving up the ability to get the medallion unless people just don't go for it, but you should still be able to access the workbench because people will open the vault. So I would go to one of those locations after looting that and try to customize my weapons there. But overall, I'm not too fond of that location. I don't think very highly of it. I just figured making this style of video, if I didn't talk about the loot cave, all the comments are going to be like, what about the loot cave? I think it's kind of overhyped just because of the novelty of it. I really don't think it's that great of a landing spot. The next location we're going to talk about is going to be these beach houses on the far left side of the map. They actually remind me of the beach houses that used to be outside Holly Hedges in Chapter 2. So that was nice to see. This spot is probably not going to be the greatest for team game modes, but if you were playing something like squads, duos, and wanted a more low-key drop, you can maybe land like somebody here, somebody there. Like you would land a bit like split and just loot this entire area. But if I was playing this in solos, I would want to land here. So these beach houses have about 8 chest spawns. There's several coolers here, and there also is a launch pad, which is going to be really nice to just get you off of the edge of the map. You could take the car if you want instead, but yeah, like I said, this isn't the most loot, so it'd be a bit of a struggle in team game modes, but I think in solos this can be good. And even in duos, if you kind of split drop properly, that'd be nice. But these coolers are going to be huge because there's, like I said earlier, there's only 2 potential items that can come out of coolers at the moment, and that's floppers and shieldfish. So you get a decent amount of shieldfish typically if you open coolers. You can also dig up these chests. I doubt this NPC is anything of value. You can't talk to him and get the big, but I think they currently have hired NPCs disabled. I'm not sure if this is a hired NPC. There's lots of barrels here, so you're guaranteed full health, I think, or full shield. Yeah, without using any of your shield items, which is great for a spot like this because I feel like a lot of people hear 8 chest spawns and they're like, that's rough, I don't really want to land there, that's terrible. But like when you get full shield guaranteed, any of the other shield you find you could just carry, and there's coolers there, so you should get shield. Could loot through this area, or you could just try to pad towards Snooty Steps. Medallion. And I do think you could loot this incredibly fast and get into Snooty Steps. But another spot I wanted to show that's nearby is going to be the yacht, and I think this spot, I haven't really seen anybody talking about it. I haven't landed here myself. I didn't realize how much loot it had until I was like making this video, honestly. But this has 23 chest spawns and 2 launch pads guaranteed. So yeah, as far as like POIs go, this is nice. The downside is going to be that there's not